January 4th, 2022 is now called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Next on the agenda is election of officers for 2022. First is President. May I have a motion?
Mr. Morton,
Mr. Krasinski,
I'd like to nominate Raphael Morton for president.
I'll second that.
any other nominations at this time? Hearing none, there's been a nomination and a second for Raphael Morton for president for 2022. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Change it up on me. Mr.
Oh, you know what, Mike, I'm sorry.
Gee, I was supposed to call.
Go ahead.
I don't think this is valid.
Go ahead, okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Okay,
Yeah.
right, I'm sorry.
All right, stand by. We were just testing y'all out there.
Got a
Testing
little
your
ahead
civic
of myself there.
knowledge.
I want everybody to know they know everything about Raphael, and I think he should have the job anyway.
Well, here we go. I want to call to order the special meeting of the St. Joseph County Council, January 4th, 2022. The first thing on the agenda is the election of officers. First, president. Are there any nominations for president of the county council?
Mr. Hammond, I'd like to nominate Mr. Morton as president of the council.
I second it.
There's a nomination and a second. Are there any other nominations for president of the St. Joseph County Council? Hearing none, nominations are now closed. We will now take a vote. Mr. Kaczynski,
Yes.
Mr. Nolan,
Yes.
Mr. File,
Aye.
Ms. Hess,
Yes.
Mr. Toloyan,
Yes.
Mr. Catanzarite,
Yes.
Mr. Kennerecki,
Yes.
Mr. Root,
Yes.
and Mr. Morton. Motion carries 9-0. Mr. Morton, you are now the president of this council. Again, congratulations, and now you are in charge from here on out.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Next office is President Pro Tem. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Morton,
Mr. Catanzarite?
I would nominate Diana Hess to resume her role as President Pro Tem.
Second.
There's a motion and a second by Mr. Catanzarite, Mr. Kennerecki for Diana Hess as President Pro Tem. Any other nominations at this time? Hearing none, nominations are now closed. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Mr. Nolan,
Yes.
okay, Mr. File,
Aye.
Ms. Hess,
Yes.
Mr. Toloyan,
Yes.
Mr. Catanzarite,
Yes.
Mr. Kennerecki,
Yes.
Mr. Root,
No.
Mr. Krasinski,
Yes.
and Mr. Morton.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-1.
Thank you. Let the record show that the motion carries 8-1 for Diana Hess as President Pro Tem. The next office is Vice President Pro Tem. Do I hear a motion? Mr. Kennerecki?
I nominate Robert Krasinski.
Second.
There was a nomination for Vice President Pro Tem for Mr. Robert Krasinski. A motion and a second has been made. Are there any other nominations at this time? Hearing none, nominations are now closed.
Your dad.
Mr. Hammond?
Mr. File,
Aye.
Ms. Hess,
Yes.
Mr. Toloyan, Mr. Catanzarite,
Yes.
Mr. Kennerecki,
Yes.
Mr. Root,
No.
Mr. Krasinski,
Yes.
Mr. Corey Nolan, Mr. Nolan,
Yes.
and Mr. Morton.
Yes.
Motion carries 8-1.
Thank you. Let the record show that the motion was carried by a vote of 8-1 for Vice President Pro Tem to be Mr. Robert Krasinski. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. This meeting is adjourned.
Recording stopped.